Well, praise the Lord, everybody, and good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? All right. I need to check one thing here. Okay, somebody has turned that. So, all right. Before we get started today, we got a trivia question like I do. The Bible trivia is not associated with this lesson per se. All right. There is a person who is named Hadassah in the Bible. Who is that person commonly known as? No ministers can speak it. Hadassah, spelled Hadassah. Hadassah. Who is that person commonly known as? Could you make that? Yeah, you have to turn a little bit. Anyone? Anybody? Anyone? Bueller? Pardon me? Okay, I'll give you some hints in a second. So, nothing just yet. What you're going to have to do kind of is loosen that one there and kind of turn it to level it out there. Yes, brother?
I was saying, I'm trying to think about the name of the in my head. Wasn't that, she eventually became Ruth? That's Ruth?
Nope, it's not Ruth. Okay, hint. Hint number one, it's a woman. Hadassah is a woman. Anyone? Okay, another hint number two. This woman became a queen. Hint number three. I'm sorry? No. Who said it? Somebody said it. It is Esther. Okay, and that's found in the book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 7. And it says, and he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter. Now, here's the thing about Queen Esther. Esther became queen because Queen Vashti was ousted. Now, here's the thing. I think it was Elder Jackson who talked about this. You don't hear about anybody naming their daughters Jezebel. Have anybody heard of somebody named Jezebel? No. Because there's a bad connotation, right? Well, Connor went to school with a girl named Vashti. And I wondered who would name their daughter Vashti after a queen who got kicked out of being queen. Right. But yeah, that's who that is Esther. Here, let me just show you a little something. What you might have to do is turn this, turn the whole thing here. Sorry, folks.
That's not fixing this way.
Yeah.
That just goes this way. That doesn't
There,
fix this
watch
way.
that. There we go. Try it like that. How's that? Is that better? It might, the people online might see me looking like Batman, the bad guy, when they turn it on the angle. You ever notice that back in the old Batman days? The bad dudes, as a kid, you always noticed that. It was always tilted when it was a bad guy on there. And before we get started with the lesson, two things too. One, can I share a testimony? Yeah. All right. Testimony time. A couple of weeks ago, we went to my nephew's wedding in Grand Rapids. And on the way home, dropped off my kids and their wives in Kalamazoo. And some of you have heard this, but others probably haven't. And on the way between Schoolcraft and Three Rivers, we're driving, it's dark out. I drive on cruise control. Tangent little story, saints. Please drive with cruise control, because when you don't, I'm on cruise and you guys are going by me and I have to pass you again leapfrogging. So that's a little tangent there. Please use your cruise control. Thank you. So I'm driving on cruise control. I go by a guy goes by me. So there's four of us. The guy that went by me, the guy he's passing, and I'm back 3 seconds from that guy. I don't tailgate either. That's another little tip. Don't tailgate, saints. I'm so tired of you. I tell you, the first time I learned about tailgating was when I graduated from high school, went to Detroit, and the very first time this happened, I'm in Detroit tailgating a guy, and he pulls over, and there was a guy stopped in the lane. That stopped me from doing that. And I've had a guy pull over, and something was in the lane. And they pull over at the last minute, and I almost hit it. So that's why I don't tailgate. So we're trucking along. It's dark out. And as I'm looking up, I think it's just a perspective. I'm like, that guy in there kind of looks like he's in our lane. Now, you know it's a divided highway. I'm southbound. I'm looking at the northbound guy. There's several cars. I'm like, looks like he's in our lane. But it's just the perspective because we're going downhill. And I'm like, and he must have his brights on because he looks really close. That's when this guy swerves and there's a dude in our lane the wrong way on 131. All I could do is swerve. Now the guy I'm passing, I'm like, I didn't even think about him because I'd rather sideswipe a dude over here than get a head-on collision here. Right. And so we swerve over and all my wife and I could do was like, thank you, Jesus. Right. Whoa, the Lord protected me. Now that's something I saw. I wonder how many unseen things I didn't on the way home. God protected us that night. So that's my testimony there. I've only seen that on TV and on YouTube with people going the wrong way on a highway.
Did he keep going?
You know, I looked in my rearview mirror after I stopped shaking. Yeah. I looked in the rearview mirror and he turned at the, the little hole in it where you can go across. Yeah. So he must have saw that he was in the wrong lane. And he turned and got onto the correct side. But I was like, whoa. And that was the first thing I wanted to share. And the second thing I wanted to let the saints know is when you see me here at church, I am doing so many things that you probably see me with my phone. I'm not playing Angry Birds, okay? I'm not on their Facebooking. If you'll see right now, I'm running the broadcast with my phone. Okay, so what happens is we get saints that are out of town, and I used to be one, and I understand when you are out of town, you're in the dark until the broadcast turn on. So I get the messages, is the broadcast going? And I go, yes, we have testimony service and it's late. I get the scriptures from the ministers that tell me their scriptures for the night. So I'm getting their scriptures and putting it in so we can bring the scriptures up on the screen. So I am trying to sometimes I have to let the saints know that are out of town. They'll go, hey, we're not getting any sound. And I go over there and yes, our sound is off. Or sometimes it's glitchy. And I have to tell them it's not our end that's glitchy, or it is. So please, when you see me on my phone in church here, saints, I am not playing around. I'm just doing that. And this is where I use my Bible a lot of times. So, okay? So those are the two housekeeping things. And so let's take a look at our lesson today. Our lesson today, our title today is called what? The Exodus. The Exodus. That's a pretty broad thing there too. It's a broad lesson. And today you're not going to get anything mind-shattering. All this is going to be pretty much this lesson is a history lesson today. So if we look at what it says in our lesson text, it's like a shotgun. It's 11 chapters. Our lesson text says chapter 4 to chapter 15. So I mean, you could make a Sunday school lesson on one part of one chapter. So this is going to be a broad stroke on how we look at this lesson today. So we won't read our focus verse. We'll skip on down to the bottom of the page to our truth about covenant. And that says, God delivered his covenant people. God delivered his covenant people. God's still delivering his covenant people. We're now his covenant people. We're the ones, if we do what God asks us to do, we are now part of his covenant people. We're the people of promise. His promise is, if you do what I say, I'm going to do what I told you I would do. So we are now his covenant people. So let's take a look at our day one reading, which is coming out of the book of Exodus chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. If we could read that together, please. It says, Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with a great judgment. And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a God. And ye shall know that I, the Lord your God, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you unto the land concerning the which I did swear to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it you for a heritage. I am the Lord. Amen. So this is the Exodus. This is the exiting of God's people out of Egypt. Physically, God is bringing the children of Israel out of the burdens of the Egyptians. Spiritually, God has taken his people out of sin. Egypt in the Bible is a type of sin. I was watching a Bible class that the pastor did, and somebody asked the question, I wonder what the Egyptians think about that. And he had the same thing. He didn't know. But in the Bible, Egypt is a type of sin. So God has taken his people now out of out of bondage and out of sin. He's separating his children of light from the Egyptians, which are the children of darkness. God bless you, whoever that was. But how did we get here? We started off the last couple of weeks, we're talking about Joseph. And Joseph, we know, was one of the children of Israel, and he was his dad's favorite child. And we understand, too, there's several in the Bible of where there were favorites, and that caused problems. And so Joseph was sold by his brothers. His brothers were so they were so jealous of him, they decided they were going to kill him. And so his big brother Reuben said, let's not kill the kid. Let's just throw him in a pit. And so they decided to throw him in a pit. And his big brother Judah said, well, you're not making any money for us there. Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. Right. So instead of killing their brother, they sold him into Egypt. Now, the one thing about Joseph is God was with him. He went initially into Potiphar's house, and there Potiphar's wife took a shining to Joseph and got him put in jail, got him put into prison for years. Now, during this time, God was with Joseph. And the thing is God not only protects his people, sometimes he protects those that are around him. And so Joseph's in jail, and he got risen to the number one guy in the jail. So he is kind of over the jailers. And there was it a butcher and a baker that was in the jail with him? And so the butcher and the baker are in there, and they have these dreams. And Joseph, through God, interpreted their dreams. And because of that, it got him in to see the Pharaoh, but not after being a couple of years in jail. And I've always said that I try to put myself in the position of these people. And I'd have been that crybaby in jail. I'd have been the dude writing my senator, hey, they put me in here, my brother sold me and all that. Not Joseph. Right. He did what you do in jail and got elevated. Eventually, he got to the Pharaoh because the Pharaoh had a dream, and they told him, hey, this Egyptian guy this Hebrew can interpret dreams. And so he went and interpreted the Pharaoh's dream, and it was a dream about a famine coming. Now, the good thing about this Pharaoh was smart enough to realize that God was with Joseph. And he started listening to Joseph's advice. And because of this, Joseph, he saved the whole world. And during those 7 years, there was 7 years of feast, 7 years of famine. And Joseph told the Pharaoh, hey, this is how you should play this in order to save all the people. And the Pharaoh said, man, I can't find anybody as good as Joseph. So Joseph became the number 2 guy in Egypt. How do you like that? Going from being put in jail, sold into slavery, and now the second most powerful man in the world. Now see, once again, that wouldn't have happened to me. If it would have been Jeff instead of Joseph, it would have been like, yep, Jeff cried and played so much, they let him go. Famine came, everybody died. The end. So you see, God picks the right people for the right job. Okay? So, Now, because of this, here's the cool thing about the way Joseph was a business-minded guy as well. He told the Pharaoh, we can, as they're into the 7 years of famine, he started selling food. He started selling it for money. So when the people ran out of money, they said, we don't have any more money, but we need food. So he said, sell us your cattle. So now Joseph gets all the cattle from the people. They still ran out. He said, well, you got land. Sell us your land. So now the Pharaoh has all the money. He's got all the cattle, all the land, except for the priest's land. He didn't take the priest's land from them. And then on top of that, when the people were still like, hey, you know what? We need seed to grow crops. He said, sure, I'll give you seed. But the Pharaoh gets 1/5 of that. That's 20%. 20% of everything you grow. But what are you going to tell him? No, I will starve to death?
Right.
So now he made Pharaoh one of the richest men ever. And to this day, the Egyptian government still owns the land. That happened back in Joseph's day. So the Pharaoh now was very keen on Joseph. He treated him very well, to the point where he said, bring your family into Egypt. So Joseph brings his family, which was, how many souls was it? Does anybody remember?
70.
Correct. 70 people go into the land of Goshen, which is in Egypt. So the problem is, the problem is this following phrase, in the process of time. Okay, so now Pharaoh not only likes Joseph, likes his people, said take the best of the land over there, but then we got something called in the process of time. So Exodus 1:8 says, now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. What happens when we don't know our history? We know that bad things happen when you don't know history.
Right.
These people are the ones which made him rich in the first place. The richest one, he did that. But now we got somebody, a new king that didn't know Joseph. So the children of Israel now were becoming a force to be reckoned with. Now the new Pharaoh that came up that didn't know Joseph looked over at these children of Israel, and they had become so mighty, he thought, hey, if we have somebody come attack us and the children of Israel join in with them, we're not going to be able to handle it. These guys, we're going to be in some serious trouble. So what did he do? He started treating them worse and worse. But the more he afflicted them, the more they grew. So what did he do? He came up with a plan. I'm going to kill all the male child. All the male children. So he told his midwives, any of the men that get if there's a baby boy, kill him. Those midwives were pretty smart, though. He said, man, I don't know about doing all of that. So here's the difference. I would have played that, once again, I'd have played that a little bit different. When I was a child, I was terrified of the dark, scared of the dark, okay? So when the sun would rise, you're talking about a brave little boy. I was brave. I knew for a fact that there was no such thing as Dracula. I knew that. I knew there was no Frankenstein, no mummy. I knew that when the sun rose. Okay? However, when that sun got about right there on the western sky, I'm thinking, maybe a mummy could have got up to the graveyard there. And Dracula, of course, he's real. And he can get through them windows. I've seen that many times. So what did I do? All day I'm tormenting my brothers and sisters, tormenting. But once that sun hit over there, I started making me some allies. I'm like, hey, if anybody picks on you, I'll take care of it, okay? So I did that especially with my brother Chris. because Chris would come sleep in my room with me. And I knew if Frankenstein came in there, I could outrun Chris. Just give me enough time to get out of here. Okay? No, you don't got to be the fastest. Just got to beat one dude. And I knew that. So I would have did this a little bit differently than the Pharaoh did it. When the Pharaoh looked over there at the children of Israel and said, these guys are getting big, I would have said, hey guys, you know, you look like you're working a little hard. From now on, you get an extra week of vacation. And not only that, your personal days that you call in on, not even going to question it. But what did this Pharaoh do? He did just the opposite. He started being mean to the children of Israel. And so, here we are in our day one, when the children of Israel are starting to be told by God that they are exiting out of there. So, how long were the children of Israel in Egypt? So I started looking at that. I'm trying to figure out how long were they there. Well, when they started off with 70 people. And during the Exodus, it was estimated that there were between 2.5 million and 4 million of them. To put it in perspective, I looked up the census of 2020, I think it was, for Chicago. The census there was 2.7 million people. In Los Angeles, 3.9 million people. So they went from 70 to millions. So how long did that take? Now, I just kind of did a rough search on this. So take this for what it's worth. In Exodus 12:40, it says, now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. So rough math here. That was from the time of Abraham getting the promise and to the Exodus. So we know that there was going to be 400 years. It was told to Abraham that his people were going to be, what did they call it? Afflicted 400 years. And we know they were there 400 years, and the math is a little goofy here with the 430 years, because it was 215 years from Abraham to Joseph going into Egypt, and about 215 years from Jacob to the Exodus. So that's about how long it took them to go from 70 people to approximately 4 million people. Okay? So now we're getting into who is taking out the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. And that's when we get to Moses. Now, God chose Moses to lead his people out. And he was one of the men saved from that evil plan of the Pharaoh that he was going to kill all the males. And Moses was saved out of that. Not only was he saved out of being killed, Moses was taken in and was raised as that Pharaoh's grandson, which I always think is kind of ironic that this man who was trying to kill him now has one of them as his grandbaby. That's kind of ironic to me. So now, when God spoke to Moses out of the burning bush to deliver his people, Moses, of course, didn't want the job, but he tried to get out of it. I hear so many of the ministers talking about trying to run to get out of their ministers. I tried to run to get out of teaching Sunday school. How well did that work for me? But eventually, Moses went on and did as God told him to do. And we know a lot of what Moses did out in he's the meekest man yet. He killed a man. He killed an Egyptian that was oppressing some of his people. We know that he had to go 40 years out to his father-in-law to get that foolishness out of him so God could use him. We know all of that. Amen. So when we get into Exodus chapter 5, Moses and Aaron meet with the Pharaoh. And I don't know how many of the younger people have seen this. I know all of the older people have seen the movie The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston. All of us, we grew up with that. And that was the movie. It was real. That was really Moses. He was really splitting the Red Sea. That's how it looked to us. But when you look at it scripturally, what did Charlton Heston say? Let my people go. What does the Bible say that he said? Let my people go 3 days journey into the wilderness to sacrifice to me. Not let my people go. All he said to the Pharaoh is, we want to go 3 days journey out into the wilderness like our God has told us to sacrifice to him. And what did Pharaoh say? Not only did he say no, but he said, hey, you're idle. Got too much time on your hands. So we're going to increase your workload. Once again, I'd have been nice to him, but no, Pharaoh going to be more mean to him. So in the movie version that we saw, that was back when they said they had to make their bricks without straw. And I'm like, wow, they got to make their bricks without straw. That's not the biblical version. Biblical version said, you're idle. So the straw that we used to give you, we're not giving it to you anymore. Go get your own. So in the movie part where they're making the bricks without straw, they weren't. The Bible says that they went out there and got their own straw. So not only, now the people who Moses said, hey, I'm going to deliver you, now they're getting even more work. So what do? They're mad. They're mad at Moses. They're speaking against Moses. Pharaoh's mad because he's like, who are you guys? Who is your God telling me that I got to let the people go out to the wilderness? So poor Moses and Aaron, they getting it on both sides. I think I would have ran again. I'd have been out in the wilderness. You know, that's something in the Bible I don't understand too. When people would pronounce judgment on them, I think I would have just tiptoed out, went to another country by night, but these people stood around and took it. I don't quite get that. So when we get into our day one, when we're looking at that, wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. They were the ones crying because their task got harder. The task that they had given them with the bricks is now harder. Their workload that they had given from the Pharaoh's worse. So they're starting to cry out to God, and God heard them. And that's when he's telling them, I'm going to take you out of here. And then he says, I'll take you to me for a people, and I will be your God. He's letting them know that I'm your God, and I'm about to execute some judgments on these Egyptian gods. And then it says in verse number 8, and I will bring you into the land concerning which I did swear to give it to, and then he goes through the people. Now, I've given a little bit of history lesson, a little bit of math lesson. Now I'm going to give a little bit of an English lesson. In my family, right here it says, and I will bring you into the land. What's the difference between bring and take? Does anybody know? That's a big thing in my family. My family misuses bring and take. Okay? So we're going to do a little English thing. Bring is toward. Take is away. Okay? And it's relative to the speaker. So when my son says, I'm going to bring that with me to Kalamazoo, I'm like, no, you're going to take that with you to Kalamazoo. We do that all the time. I'm like, Dad, you're bringing take. Yes, you're taking it away from me. So that is, use bring and take correctly. Now, does anybody need any more on that? Like my children? And by the way, I do have a favorite. My favorite is Connor. That's my favorite child. Does anybody know why? Because Tyler's not here. Anywho's, you're my boy. Okay, so now we're all right. So now we are into the latter part of the chapter where Moses was talking to God now. Says, how's the Pharaoh going to listen to me? So that takes us into our day 2 of our lesson. Our day 2 is Exodus 7 and 1. And if we could read that together, please. And it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy father shall be thy prophet. Okay, so in this latter part of the chapter, when he's asking him, how's the Pharaoh going to listen to me? God's telling him, I'm elevating you to a place where Pharaoh is going to listen to you. He's not going to obey, but he's definitely going to listen to you. So, why did God choose Pharaoh? God chose Pharaoh because he knew that he was not going to obey. God is fair. That's the one thing we have to understand, that God is fair in everything he does. And he understood, too, that Pharaoh was not going to do right. And that's exactly why he chose him. That's exactly why he chose Judas. And we'll talk a little bit more on that shortly. So, in order for Pharaoh to let the people go, God had to put them through some hardships, some plagues. And God chose specific plagues to show the Egyptians that their gods were powerless and to show his people that he was powerful. So, first thing that he did when he went into the Pharaoh was to show that he was from his God. And what did he do? He cast down his staff, and his staff turned into a serpent. But here's the thing. Pharaoh's magicians. Thank you, brother. Pharaoh's magicians did the exact same thing. So when they said, who is your God? You know, boom, my God, this will show you, turn his staff into a serpent. So Pharaoh's folks did the identical thing. But what happened to the serpents there? Moses and Aaron ate theirs. Okay? So then, what did Pharaoh do? Heart got hardened. What does that mean? Just stubborn. He dug his heels in. That's what that means there. So, the first plague that happened was Moses and Aaron turned the water into blood. Now, here's the kicker. Pharaoh's magicians did the exact same thing. But what's the difference? There's two things going on here that's different. Number one, it didn't happen over in the land of Goshen, where God's people were. Okay, so their water was still water. And number two, Pharaoh's people could not change it back. So, what did they have to do? Pharaoh had to come in and ask Moses and Aaron, hey, talk to your God and tell him to turn our blood back into water. So, that was the first plague. The second plague was frogs. And same thing. They brought the frogs in. Pharaoh's folks came in, brought frogs in. So why wouldn't Pharaoh's heart be hard? Your God can do this, so can mine. The difference is, same thing. It didn't affect the children of Israel. And the second thing is they couldn't change it back. They couldn't get rid of them. Pharaoh's people could not get rid of them. So they had to go to Aaron and Moses. Hey, can you tell your God to take those frogs back? That's another thing in the Ten Commandments on the movie. They show Moses doing everything. It was Moses and Aaron. Aaron was his mouthpiece. So the third was lice. Now, all of these that I'm telling you never affected the children of Israel over in Goshen. Not at all. Pharaoh's people couldn't match that one. And from then on, they couldn't do these things. And they said, the magician said, hey, the Pharaoh's magician said, this is the finger of God. They could not duplicate that. Once again, they could never stop it. It always had to be Aaron and Moses. Then it went to the flies. Then the plagues of cattle. Then it was the boils. Number 7 was hail mixed with fire. How about that? That would have my attention. And that hail killed animals, killed people, killed crops, killed trees. Then it went into the locust, then darkness, and then the death of the firstborn son. So, I'm going to butcher a couple of names here. But God chose those specific plagues for a reason. He was attacking specific Egyptian gods. So, the water turned to blood was Hapi or Hapi, which was the god of the Nile, and Osiris, god of the underworld. The frogs was Heket, the goddess of birth and fruitfulness. I don't know if you guys seen those Egyptian statues, but what it was is it's a female body, obvious female body with a frog head. I don't understand how that could be fertility. I'd be like, how about putting a woman head on there? That'd be a little more appropriate. You know? But that was their god of fertility. The lice was Capri, the god of the scarab beetle. The flies was Utachet, the god that manifested himself as a fly. The death of the livestock was Apis and Hathor, which was that bull god of livestock and fertility. The boils was Iris and Sekhmet, which was a goddess of blessing. Hail was Nut, the sky goddess, and Seth, the goddess of chaos. Locust was Seth, god of chaos, and Neper, the god of grain. Darkness was Ra, which was the sun god. And the death of the firstborn was judgment against all the Egyptian gods. So God specifically went after each one of the gods that they did and showed that your gods, small g, are powerless against me, God, capital G. So that's why he did that, and that's why those plagues were the way they were. Okay, so now that takes us into our day 3. Day 3 is Exodus 9 and 12, and if we could read that together, and it says, "And the Lord hardened Pharaoh, and hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had spoken unto Moses." Okay, let's talk about Pharaoh's hard heart for a second. He was a stubborn man. He dug his heels in. God hardened Pharaoh's heart several times, but the Pharaoh hardened his own heart more than God hardened his heart. Now, one could make an argument and say that God's not fair. He hardened Pharaoh's heart. But we got to understand God's foreknowledge on everything. Imagine right now the Cassopolis Rangers are playing a basketball game. And I got it on the VCR. Do they still tape on VCR? Or was it DVR? Yeah, I tape it. I record it. Okay? And after church, I look at that and I know who wins and I know the high score. And I say, who do you guys think is going to be that? Now, you guys haven't seen it. And you pick out the high score. And then I say, I pick out the high score. And I'm right. Did I make him be the high scorer? No. Not at all. I just knew he was going to be the high scorer. God promoted Pharaoh to this position because he needed some hard-headed person that wasn't going to listen so that he could accomplish these things. Now, with his foreknowledge, he already knew that Pharaoh was not written in the Lamb's Book of Life. He knew he needed that personality type, and that's why he elevated him to that position. So, saints, we as saints, we got to understand that God puts in leadership positions who he wants to put in leadership positions, okay? Sometimes the person he puts there is a bad person. Sometimes he puts in a good person, but what he's doing is accomplishing his will. So when we talk about leaders, we're actually talking against God. Okay, so whether you like the leader or not, how would it look if I was out there with petitioning? Pharaoh, king of Egypt, is mean. Don't vote for Pharaoh, you know. God wanted Pharaoh there.
Right.
And so when we look at any leadership position and we start fighting it, I caution you, saints, that you know God puts who he wants to accomplish. If he needs something bad done, he puts in a bad person. Right. So I don't care either way. I look at it as that don't matter to me so long as I can still do what I'm doing. I don't care. Right. But some people get caught up into that, you know, bad mouthing leaders and all that. I'm glad I don't care. But the people who do, I just caution you, be careful because that's who God put there. Right. So, anywho, let's see. I remember Christian, Elder Jackson brought up something, and I thought it was a very good thing, which was the Back to the Future 2. When the guy gets the sports almanac and he goes into the future, goes into the past, knowing all that. So he knew all the teams that won, and he bets on them and he gets rich. That's kind of how God's foreknowledge works. God's put into place rules. And in his foreknowledge, he knows who's going to play by the rules. For example, he knows that 100 million people are going to do exactly what he told them to do, and those people are going to be the bride. God didn't say, I want 100 million people. He said, these are the rules. And so when our Bible tells us it's 100 million that make it to rapture, that's because 100 million God already knows are going to do exactly what he told them to do. So that's how God's foreknowledge, and that's how he put the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, in this position. That's exactly how, let's see here. That's exactly why he picked Judas. Okay? We know that Judas betrayed him. But what if Jesus wasn't betrayed? What would happen to us? How could we be saved if God wasn't crucified? So God knew that Judas was a thief. He let him keep the purse. But the thing is, he washed his feet. He sent him out to heal people. Judas did everything that every one of the apostles did. God gave him every opportunity to get himself straight. But in his foreknowledge, he knew that this man here is not only going to get straight, but he's going to betray me. And that's what I need to happen for my plan to go forward. Right. So when we look at the Pharaoh, that's exactly what God had to do. His people were going to be, he already told them they were going to be, afflicted for 400 years, starting with Ishmael. Ishmael to Isaac started that 400-year clock. And now we are at the end of that 4 years where the guys are now exiting Egypt. Amen. Okay. So I just don't want people to think that God's unfair because of Judas, because of Pharaoh. It's just his foreknowledge is the reason why he elevated them to the positions he is in. And that's going to take us into our day 4 of our lesson. And our day 4 is coming out of Exodus chapter 11, verse 9. And if we could read that together, please. And it says, And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. So, this scripture is referencing the last plague. God was demonstrating who he was to the world. And if you think about it, this thing that happened, it happened thousands of years ago, and we're talking about it still today. God was showing the world who he was, especially amongst the children of Israel, Jewish people right now. They celebrate what we're about to talk over with this last plague. They celebrate this last plague. So this was the death of the firstborn of all. Firstborn of cattle, firstborn of people. If you were the firstborn, this night the death angel's going through and he is going to kill. So here's this is the only plague now. We talked about all those 10 plagues, or actually 9 of them, only affected Egypt. This 10th one affected everybody. So every Egyptian household was affected by this last one. Now, the children of Israel were affected as well, but they had a get-out-of-jail-free card. Now, their get-out-of-jail-free card was every household had to take a lamb without blemish of the first year. So a lamb in his prime, no blemishes. And then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel had to kill it in the evening. Now, this was a foreshadowing for us of how the lamb was going to be killed. And when I'm talking about the lamb, I'm talking about Jesus. This is Jesus, the lamb. And what did they have to do with that blood? Put it on that doorpost. Okay? So, and when the death angel came through, when he saw the blood, I will pass. I will pass. Oh, when I see that blood, I'm going to pass over you. We sing that song. It's a great song. Now, that's still in effect today. That blood is applied to us through baptism. Baptism. If you don't have that blood, that death angel is going to come through. He's still going to come through. If you don't have that blood, he's not going to pass over you. So, and God was very specific with the children of Israel how they were supposed to do this lamb, how they were supposed to kill it, how they're supposed to eat it, what they're supposed to be wearing. They still do this to this day. They still put their certain clothes on like they told them to be ready with your staff in your hand. The Jewish people still do that to this day. That was thousands of years ago, and they're doing this stuff. So in Exodus 12:12, it says, "For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord." He's executing his judgment against all the gods of Egypt. And so Pharaoh, having his hard, stubborn, digging his heel in heart, allowed God to show all these wonders to the world and to show his people that I am now your God. I am going to take you out now, and I'm going to protect you. So, not only did he deliver his people from the plague now, so as a death angel went through, what he also did was he gave his people favor with the Egyptians. And so they went through and they borrowed gold, silver, linen, all this stuff they borrowed from the Egyptians. And it's kind of neat because all of this stuff that they borrowed from the Egyptians was used to make their tabernacle out in the wilderness. So they had everything they need. They had all their raw material from the Egyptians, the ones they just left. So we're going into day 5 now. So let's take a look at our day 5. Our day 5 comes out of Exodus chapter 13, verse 21 through 22. And if we could read that together. And it says, "And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. And he took not away the pillar of cloud by day, or the pillar of fire by night before his people." Yes, so this pillar of fire was the pillar of fire and the cloud. This was their guidance. This was God's guidance to them. And the fire, what it did for the Egyptians was it blinded them to see the children of Israel. But what it did for the children of Israel, it gave them warmth and it gave them guidance. The same thing with the cloud. The cloud protected them. It gave them shade and it gave them coverage from the Egyptians. So this was guidance and protection. And when God led his people out with this pillar of fire and this pillar of the cloud, there was a shortcut way to get to where he wanted them to go, to the promised land, and there was a long way. So God took them the long way, and he tells us why. If they took them to the land of the Philistines, what happens if they saw war? He knew that they would probably get afraid and turn around and go back into the land of Egypt. So God took them the wrong way. Long way, that is. Now, sometimes God does that for us as well. God will take us the long way. And what he's doing is he's keeping us out of harm's way. But if we trust him, we know that his way is the perfect way.
Amen.
So we know that Moses later on, Moses told God, he says, if you're not going to go before us or after us, he says, I don't want to go. And the reason why is because everybody realizes when you go with us with the pillar of fire and the pillar of the cloud, that not only are we God's people, but you are with us. And that goes back to my bring and take with that other one. God said he's going to bring them in there. The whole point of that was God was with them. God's bringing them. Amen. So God is with them, taking them through into the promised land. Amen. So now, in chapter 14, so our lesson stops in chapter 13 in the book, but it continues to chapter 15. So in our chapter 14, this is when the children of Israel are crossing the Red Sea. Now we know that when they left out of there, Pharaoh had a change of heart. And what did he decide to do? Decided to pursue them. Fastest chariots, and they after him. I'm telling you, I always say this. When I put myself in their position, I'm looking at the world's strongest army behind me chasing me. And I'm looking at the Red Sea in front of me. I'd be like, Moses, why'd you do this to us? I'd be murmuring. I'd be one of them dudes that were murmuring out there, Moses, what did you do? You taking us out or you going to get us killed? And then we see the salvation of the Lord, where he opens up the Red Sea. And between 2.4 and 4 million of the children of Israel walked through. Now, I wonder, too. I got a strange little mind. You guys probably know that by now, but I got a little strange mind, and I'm wondering when they're going through, was kids going like, Dad, there's a fish right there. Can I stick my hand in there? I'd be like, don't touch nothing. That's what I'd be telling my boys. Keep your hands to yourself and just walk. But, my boys would definitely be running their hands through the water, looking there, well, what is that, But you got 2.5 million to 4 million people walking. That's the entire city of Chicago or this entire city of Los Angeles walking through the Red Sea on dry land. And I saw a science show where they were showing that, how that the wind could blow and it probably didn't split like the Bible said. Now, they're wrong when they say it didn't do like the Bible said. The Bible tells you exactly what it did. And it says, that was probably kind of muddy where they walked in on. The Bible said they went through on dry land. So guess what they did? They went through on dry land. It's simple. We look at this, people talk about, I know in my old job, we have what they call a flight ops manual. And they said, that's your Bible. Okay? For us, the Bible. This is our Bible. It's literal and figuratively our Bible. So when it says that they went through on dry land, they went through on dry land. So now the people started, the Egyptians, of course, this massive army, they're going to pursue them. And they did. They pursued them out there. So what did God do? Took their wheels off in the middle of the Red Sea. Now, once again, if I was there and I'm at the tail end, Charlie, I see wheels coming off. Brother, I'd have stepped off my little chariot, did a 180 and said, sayonara, dudes, y'all on your own. Bye. Yes, sir.
Listen, after the plays, I'm like, hey, listen, girl, I'm the head soldier, but if you would kindly let me park, I'm not following them.
Pharaoh, Pharaoh, could you put me at a desk job?
Please, there's no way.
Absolutely. So they get through there, and once all the children of Israel cross, what does God do? Let the water go over. Kill them all. Now there's a I don't know if it's Netflix or something out there where they got a thing where it's a mockumentary on Moses, and in this mockumentary they have one Egyptian that made it, and he's trying to. They're like, "Hey, I don't recognize you." He says, "Yes, I'm one of the children of Israel." It's like, "What's your name?" And it's like, Moses. And he went and stole some guy's clothes, and he's acting like but it's an Egyptian. It's like, but no, the Bible says, kill them all. Yes, Sister Rochelle.
All of this lesson is full of symbolic language, and the cloud and the fire for today. The Holy Ghost would be a representative of how God is leading and guiding, and how He is also not only directing but protection, as He did with Israel. And we all understand that the Red Sea is a symbol of the baptism.
Absolutely.
The thing is, to bring it to 2025, we got to understand that He was showing and demonstrating His power throughout Israel and throughout Egypt, but He's still demonstrating and showing His powers even today.
Absolutely.
Showing His power, how He has the ability, and the only ability, to save a soul and keep that soul. Because He kept Israel.
Yes, He did.
All the way through this. He kept them.
Yes, He did.
He's able to keep us. So I wanted to bring that up because, we read this and get it in the mind. And the last thing is, when you go through an aquarium, I don't know how many people have been to an aquarium here, but when you go through an aquarium, you are walking on dry ground and you are walking through water.
It's true.
You get to see the fish, the shark, and anything else in there. And they can't touch you. It's like
It's
they can't get you.
absolutely. That's so true.
I've never been there and go through it. It's a fascinating adventure.
It is.
And you have to put these pieces together and see how God is. He's trying to protect and guide and lead you and give you everything you need. But then we got the rebellious people like Pharaoh. And I ain't gonna tell you where they sit, but they do sit in authority seats.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, they do things to mock God, just like Pharaoh was mocking God with Israel back then. So we have to put the whole picture together for us today, 2025, in application. How do I use this? Because when I go out there, I'm going to be facing a world that don't understand me, and they don't see nothing that I'm trying to tell them. So living the life is really one of the greatest treasures that we can do, because the world needs to see Jesus, but they're not going to see it on their own.
This is the only Jesus. Did most of that come up on there for you? Okay. We are the only Jesus that people are going to see nowadays. So you're absolutely right about that, sister. And that's a very good point that I wanted to bring up too. When they went through that water, they were covered. So the water was over them. That was a type of baptism. God brought His people out through that water. And that's how we are brought out today, is through that water. Amen. That looks like my time. Any questions? Yes, sister.
I was kind of wondering, how far did they have to walk through the sea? Was it a long walk or a short walk?
I wondered that too, and I can't remember. I can't remember the sea itself. I can't remember that part, but I do know that they're traveling to get to Promised Land was a 12-day journey. That took them 40 years. And like I said, I feel sorry for the husbands. I feel sorry for them husbands, because the wives are like, hey, we turned there last time. It's like, I ain't stopping and asking nobody. We go keep on marching. That's what I do. Anyway, but yeah, sister, I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. All right. Well, thank you.